Baal, Canto 2. The burdened earth approaches gods for liberation, the Lord's assurance. Mata Parvati said, O Lord of the world, by your kindness I feel greatly pleased and obliged, while the sack of my doubts and confusions have been punctured. O Lord, my mind and heart do not feel contented by drinking the nectar like words dripping, that is, flowing or coming out from your mouth, describing the essence or elementary truth about Sri Ram. Words which are the remover of the fears of this illusionary, mundane existence. I have heard in brief the story of Sri Ram from your mouth. Now I want to hear it elaborately in detail. Lord Shiva said, O goddess, listen, I shall tell you the most secret and mysterious story of Adhyatma Ramayan, which was earlier narrated to me by Sri Ram himself. Now I am beginning the narration of that Adhyatma Ramayan, which is the remover of the three Traitaps, that is, Adi Bhautik, related to terrestrial creatures, Adi Daivik, related to the gods or demigods, Daihik, related to the body, fears or torments arising from these three. Listen carefully. By hearing it, the creature is liberated from the great fear induced by ignorance and delusions, and achieves great fame, renown, a long life, as well as is bestowed with sons and grandsons. In other words, a happy household and family life. We begin. Once upon a time, Mother Earth, who was weary and tormented by the burden of Ravana and other demons, took the form of a cow and, accompanied by gods and sages, went to the abode of Lord Brahma. There she weepingly narrated her tales of woes to Brahma. Then Brahma sat in meditation for one muhurta, that is a period of time equivalent to almost 48 minutes, literally meaning for a short while, and realized or knew by inspiration the way and means to end her torments and worries, because he is all-knowing or omniscient. Thereafter, accompanied by all the gods, Brahma took the earth with him and went to the shore of the ocean of milk, known as the Shir Sagar, the abode of Lord Vishnu. There he worshipped and praised Lord Hari, who pervades the whole world, is all-knowing, disease-free, is omniscient and most wise. With the most pure and humble voice, eyes filled with tears of joy and bliss, and a thrilled body, using a voice which was most pure, full of devotion, imbued with extreme delight, and was according to the sanctions of the Vedas and consisted of holy hymns and Puran-sanctified stotras. Then Sri Hari, who was as splendorous and radiant as thousands of luminescent suns, manifested himself in the eastern horizon, removing or dispelling the darkness of all the directions of the world in the process. Sri Hari, who is most difficult to behold by sinners and those who lack any goodness and auspiciousness, was seen by Brahma with the greatest of difficulties. His glowing, radiant complexion was dark, like the sapphire worn by Indra. His face had a sweet, pleasant smile, and his eyes were large and attractive like a lotus. He was adorned by a crown, a tiara, a necklace or a garland, armlet or a bracelet, earrings, large finger rings, and other such ornaments, as well as was endowed by the radiance effusing from the footprints of sage Bhrigu and the cost of money, a jewel worn by Lord Vishnu on his chest. Sankadi and other sages were singing his eulogies and had surrounded him from all sides. He was looking most glorious and resplendent, with a conch, a discus, a mace, and a lotus, one each in his 4 hands respectively, as well as the garland of flowers around his neck. He was adorned by a golden sacred thread and a pitambar, a silken yellow body wrapping, seamless garment worn by Lord Vishnu. He was accompanied by Ma Lakshmi and Mother Earth, who was astride Garud, the legendary eagle, which is his mount. Seeing his stupendously beautiful image, Brahma began to sing his praises and glories with a throat choked with extreme delight and overcome with emotions. Brahma said, "O Lord, I bow my head at your holy feet, which are remembered and concentrated upon regularly by the seekers of emancipation and salvation, who wish to free themselves from the shackles of their deeds, both past and present, and which they do sincerely with their whole being, intellect and mind, heart and sense organs. You create, sustain, and annihilate this world through the medium of your delusionary powers, that is Maya, endowed or empowered with the 3 gunas, that is the sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. But being an embodiment of supreme bliss and contentment, you do not get attached, involved, affected, or engrossed in it. O Lord, the purity of heart and inner self that is achieved by the devotees who are devoted and dedicated to you and have constant and unwavering love and respect for your pure and holy fame and glories, are not achieved or received by those persons who are darkened, perverted, wicked, and of malignant and tarnished heart and inner self, in spite of them doing charities, studying the scriptures, and other auspicious and noble deeds. Hence, those lotus-like feet of yours, which are regularly concentrated upon by devoted sages and seers in their hearts, I have had a divine view, darshan, of them, so as to enable me to destroy the false and malignant tendencies of my heart and inner self instantaneously. Earlier too, we, Brahma and other gods, had served these lotus-like feet of yours in order to fulfill our self-interests, while wise sages and hermits had constantly concentrated upon it in their hearts, with the avowed aim of experiencing you firsthand. O Vibho, which means omnipresent, all-pervading. Lord, though Lakshmi has found a place in your heart, she feels jealous and envious of a garland of tulsi leaves, which is offered at your feet as if the latter was her kopasana or competitor. You have greater affection for the devotees who have devotion and respect towards your lotus-like feet than you have for Mata Lakshmi. That is why those devotees who have realized your essence and true nature have desire or ask for your bhakti, pure devotion, only to the exclusion of all other boons. Therefore, O Lord, let me have eternal, unwavering devotion and dedication in your lotus-like holy feet, because for those diseased persons afflicted by the disease of this mundane existence, such as spiritual, moral, physical, ethical, and attitudinal deprivation, corrupted thoughts, intellect and discrimination, perverse and perverted minds, etc., your devotion and worship is the only remedy. Brahma, who had been singing the glories and praises of Lord Hari as above, was asked by him, "What shall I do for you?" Then Brahma replied to him most delightedly, "O God, O Lord, Ravana, the grandson of Pulastya, and son of Vishrava, is the king of the demons. On the strength of my blessings or boons, he has become extremely haughty and arrogant, as well as tyrannical and almost invisible. He has created hurdles, problems for the whole universe, and has tormented the three lokas, that is, the terrestrial, subterranean, and celestial, and the three Lokpals, patron gods of these three worlds. Oh, an embodiment of welfares, well beings, and all auspiciousness, I have destined or determined Ravana's death in the hands of a human. Therefore, O Lord, you should assume a human form and slay that enemy of gods. The Lord God Vishnu said, being pleased by the hard, severe austerities and penances tapa done by Kashyap, I had given him a boon. He had desired me to manifest myself as his son. Then I had said, all right, and had accepted his proposal. Presently, he is present in the form of King Dasharath on this earth, in the city of Ayodhya. I shall manifest myself, that is, be born in his household in 4 distinct forms as his 4 sons in an auspicious and proper time from the womb of Kaushalya and the other 2 mothers. At the same time, my Yog Maya, my delusionary powers emanating from me, will take birth in the form of Sita in the household of King Janak. I shall take her with me and finish off all your works or fulfill all your desires and needs. Saying this, Lord Vishnu vanished from sight. Thereafter, Brahma said to the other gods, Brahma said, Lord Vishnu shall manifest himself as a human in the Raghu clan. All of you should also reproduce yourselves as sons in the form of Vanara, and till the time Vishnu remains on earth, you should continue to serve him. Having thus ordered the gods and consoling the earth, Brahma went back to his own abode and lived happily without any further worries. Here, all the gods assumed the form of the most valorous and strong Vanars, who were adept, proficient at fighting, using mountains, large boulders, rocks, and trees as their arsenal. They lived and roamed about here and there on this earth, waiting for the time when they would be needed to help and serve the Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva resumed his narration. Once, King Dasharath, who was world-famed, truthful, Lord of Ayodhya, and was most brave, felt very sad or regretted that he had no sons or heirs, and called his clan's moral preceptor, Guru Vashishta, bowed his head to him and said, O Lord, please tell me by which method or by doing what can I get sons who have all auspicious and noble virtues in them? Because without sons, this kingdom appears sorrowful and tormenting for me, for there is no heir to look after it after my death. Then Guru Vashishta said to King Dasharatha, You shall be blessed by 4 sons who would be most able and potent like the 4 Lokpals personified themselves. You should soon invite Shanta's husband, Shringi Rishi, and together with me, you should perform the son-begetting fire sacrifice or yagna. The king said, All right, and invited sage Shringi. Then he purified himself by bathing, fasting, etc., and accompanied by his ministers, he started the special purpose sacrifice with the help of holy and noble sages and seers. At that time, when holy offerings, oblations were being offered to the religious fire with due reverence and honor during the sacrificial ritual, the fire god, who was radiant like molten gold, appeared from the fire pit with rice pudding in a golden vessel and said, O king, take this holy and marvelous pudding made by the gods. and which has the potent of providing or bestowing sons. With the help of this, you can, without doubt, beget the Supreme Lord in the form of your sons. Having advised thus and giving the pudding to the king, the fire god disappeared from the sight. Thereafter, the king felt extremely contented and fulfilled in his endeavor, worshipped the feet of his guru, Vashishta, and guest sage, Rishi Shringhi, both of whom who were like lions among their peers, and on their orders he distributed the pudding equally, with great care between his queens Kaushalya and Kaikeyi. Then Queen Sumitra also reached there, desiring to have a share in the sun bestowing divine pudding. At this, Kaushalya gladly gave her half of her own share, and Kaikeyi too divided hers. In this manner, all queens conceived. Those three queens began to look as magnificent as goddesses due to their radiance in that royal palace. Then, in the 10th month, Kaushalya gave birth to a most spectacular, majestic, and mysterious son. In the month of Chaitra, roughly March-April, during the 9th day of the waxing phase of the moon, in the zodiac sign of Cancer, and in the constellation of stars called Punarvasu, when the 5 planets were ascendant and the sun was in the zodiac sign of Aries, then, during the noon of that particular day, the eternal, absolute, formless, and attributeless Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of the universe, made his appearance. At that time, the sky was overcast by a hail of resplendent and vibrant, blooming and fragrant flowers. He was dark complexioned, like a blue lotus, wore a pitambar, a yellow silken, seamless body wrapping cloth, and had 4 arms. His eyes looked adorable and magnificent like a red lotus. The ears were adorned with radiant earrings. His radiant glow was like thousands of splendorous, luminescent suns. There was a bright crown and curled lock of hairs on his head, while each of his 4 hands had a conch, a discus, a mace, and a lotus respectively, whereas a garland having 5 colors, that is, different varieties of flowers, adorned his neck. The smile on his lotus-like face resembled the pleasant moonlight emanating and spreading in all directions from the symbolic moon residing in his heart. That is, the sweetness of his heart was spilling over in the form of his smile. His merciful and compassionate eyes were as large as the moon, and he was adorned by ornaments such as the footprint of sage Brigu and a garland on his chest. He also wore armlets and bracelets and anklets on his body. Seeing such a stupendously beautiful and magnificent Supreme Lord manifest himself as his son, Kaushalya was stunned and dumbfounded. Her eyes were filled with tears of joy, and folding her hands in prayerful submission, she said, "O Lord of Lords, I pay my respects and obeisance to you. O the bearer of conch, discus, and mace, you are an eternal, imperishable, endless, supreme soul, Paramatma, and you are perfectly complete, Purushottam, the best and the most exalted soul. Those who are experts and most proficient in the Vedas say that you are not the subject matter of the mind, intellect, and speech. You are beyond the grasp and reach of the sense organs, are the only powerful authority and the only and complete embodiment of Gyan, wisdom, true knowledge, essential truth, awareness of whatever there is to know. You create, sustain, and annihilate this universe by using your Maya of Sattva, which is empowered by the 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. although you always remain in a uniform state of Thurya. Just to give you a quick background as to what it means, the three gunas are sattva, noble qualities, virtues, or characters. And sattva is righteousness. Rajas, which produces worldly desires, passions, vices, etc. And tamas is the base, mean, lowly qualities, ignorance, delusions, darkness, pervertness, etc. The Turiya state is the fourth state of consciousness, symbolizing supreme bliss, peace, and tranquility. Here it means that though the Lord appears to be involved in all the maneuvers and stratagem associated with the multifarious activities pertaining to creation, he actually is totally dispassionate and disassociated with it, not at all affected by or concerned with it. You are not the doer, though you appear to be so. You do not walk, though you seem to be. You do not listen, but appear to be doing so. And you do not see, in spite of the illusion of doing so. Even the Vedas assert that you are without life and mind or intellect complex and are most pure. You live uniformly in all the creatures as their soul or Atma, though you are not visible, perceived, experienced, or realized by those whose inner self, that is the mind, intellect, discriminatory faculty, is covered by a dark sheath of ignorance. You are recognized, perceived, experienced by those persons only who are wise and enlightened. O Lord, numerous universes appear minuscule like atoms in your stomach. But your grace and magnificence towards your devotees is evident from the fact that you credit me with giving you birth from my womb. Being under the sway of your delusionary powers, I was submerged in the mundane ocean of illusionary husband, son, and wealth. But today, I have come to take shelter in your lotus-like holy and divine feet due to my great fortune. O Lord, let your stupendously beautiful, most attractive, charming, and enrapturing image always reside in my heart, and bless me with your Maya, which shackles this whole world, does not affect me. Oh, the soul of the universe, please bring to an end this supernatural, outwardly strange image of yours, and instead assume the pleasant, joy-giving form of a child, by whose happy and cheerful embrace and childish talks I shall cross the dense forest of darkness induced by ignorance. The Lord said, O Mother, whatever you wish, so shall it be. Nothing should be against it. Earlier, Brahma had prayed to me to remove the burden of this earth. Hence, I have taken a form to slay the demon Ravana and others of his ilk. O, the blameless one, you too had worshipped me and done severe penances and had observed austerities along with Dasharatha, with a combined wish to have me as your son. I have fulfilled your wishes now by appearing as an incarnation. You have seen this majestic and splendorous image of me due to the good efforts of those penances and austerities. My divine vision, that's darshan, bestows emancipation and salvation. Those who lack auspiciousness and goodness have the greatest of difficulties in having my divine sight. Those persons who read or listen to this conversation between us shall attain oneness with me, and he shall remember me at the same time of death. Having said this, the Lord became or transformed himself into a child and began to cry. His childish form was also dark complexioned, like the Indra Neel Mani, the blue sapphire worn by Indra, had large eyes and was most beautiful. It was red-hued and splendorous like the early morning young sun. The Lord provided immense joy and delight to all the Lokpals, custodians of the world, by manifesting himself as the most attractive child. Thereafter, when King Dasharatha heard about the ceremonial arrival of his son, he appeared to be drowned in an ocean of delight, happiness, and exhilaration, and he went to the royal residence along with his guru Vashishta. Reaching inside the palace, he saw the lotus-eyed Sri Ram and was drenched with tears of joy and bliss. He got his guru to perform the various rituals and sacraments associated with childbirth. Thereafter, Bharat was born of the lotus-eyed Kaikeyi, while Sumitra gave birth to twins, whose faces resembled the moon and who were as beautiful as the Ashwini Kumars. At that time, King Dasharatha enthusiastically gave away hundreds of villages, a lot of gold, numerous gems, various types of robes and garments, and countless cows with auspicious characters and signs to Brahmins as charity. He, in whom the sages and seers dwell, constantly remember or spend their time to contemplate upon, after having destroyed their darkness of ignorance with the light of wisdom and discrimination, and who attracts the intellect, heart, and mind of his devotees by his stupendous charm and beauty, was named Ram by his guru Vashishta. Similarly, the second son was named Bharat because he would be the nourisher, sustainer, caretaker of the whole world. The third son was named Lakshmana because he was endowed with all the virtues of goodness, character, and auspiciousness, while the fourth son was called Shatrughan, as he would be the vanquisher, conqueror, or the crusher of all the enemies or opponents in this world. By virtue of the share given by Kaushalya and Kaikeyi from the rice pudding to Sumitra, Lakshman followed Sri Ram and Shatrughan followed Bharat respectively. Roaming and frolicking around along with Lakshman, Sri Ram gave immense joy to his parents by his childhood playful activities, mischievous efforts, and innocent childish talk. Sri Ram's forehead was adorned by a radiant gold-encrusted leaf of the peepal tree decorated by pearls, while the neck was adorned with intertwined strings decorated with the gems and jewels, and having lion's nails at intervals. Ornaments of gold studded with jewels, which resembled raw fruits of the Arjun tree, were dangling from his ears, while gem-studded tinkling anklets, golden waistband, and bracelets or armlets adorned his body. King Dasharath and Mother Kaushalya were greatly exhilarated and delighted on seeing the child, whose radiance was like the hue of the Indraneel Mani, and whose face was adorned and by a few-toothed smile, running around the palace courtyard behind a calf with a childlike staggering gait. When the king sat down for his meals, he most cheerfully and affectionately called Sri Ram, saying, "Ram, come here." When the child did not come or pay heed, the king would ask Kaushalya to go fetch him. But he, who is the only refuge or shelter for the mind-intellect of yogis, could not be caught by the mother who was laughing and running behind him. He would himself come to Dasharath with hands besmeared with dirt and slush, took one or two morsels of food, and again ran away. Mother Kaushalya used to dress Sri Ram in different attires, made various types of sweet dishes every month and celebrated. And especially on his birthday, she made various delicacies and celebrated the occasion with pomp and pageantry. Due to the restiveness and mischief created by child Ram, Kaushalya had stopped attending to her routine household chores. One day, Sri Ram went to his mother and said, "Oh mother, give me something to eat." But she did not pay attention because of preoccupation with some work. Then the child got so furious that he broke all the pots and pans with a stick. Then he pulled down milk and butter stored aloft in pots held by lattice strings and distributed it and all other milk curd available there amongst Lakshmana, Bharat, and Shatrughan. The cook complained to the other, who laughed and rushed forward to catch the child. Seeing the mother coming toward them, all the children ran away. Kaushalya ran behind them, but she slipped at every other step. At last she caught hold of Sri Ram and did not say anything. At that moment Sri Ram began weeping and sobbing like any other ordinary child. Seeing them all frightened of her, she affectionately embraced them and caressed them. In this way, Sri Ram, who is the cause of happiness and is the bestower of joy, bliss, peace, and tranquility to the world, as well as is a treasury or root of all happiness, joy, and bliss, assumed an illusionary or a pseudo form of a child and began to provide happiness and delight to the royal couple. Hence, after some time, the four brothers entered the period of adolescence. Then Guru Vashishta performed their sacred thread ceremony and initiated them into the Kshatriya Dharma and taught them, so that the four brothers who had assumed the human form willingly out of their own delusionary powers and who are the lords of the entire universe became proficient in the knowledge and essence of all scriptures and became experts in the science and art of archery, besides all other skills and knowledge. Out of the three brothers, Lakshman dedicatedly and diligently followed Sri Ram, most reverentially, like a loyal follower follows his lord, while Shatrughan was similarly always eager to serve Bharat. Every day, Sri Ram, armed with a bow, arrows, and a quiver, and accompanied by Lakshman, would mount a horse each and go to the forest to slay wicked and cruel animals. And having hunted lions and tigers there, they would tell everything about their exploits to their father. After rising up in the morning, he would bathe and bow his head before his parents, and then would take care of all the needs of the citizens or attend to the work of the kingdom. Then he would take his meals along with his brothers, hear discourses on various scriptures from sages and seers, and discuss or explain them himself for the benefit of his brothers as well as his friends and other citizens. In this manner, the Supreme Soul, Paramatma, who is faultless, beyond reproach, and without any resultant consequences leading to an imperfect end, took an incarnation, that is, revealed himself in the image of a human and acted in accordance with his assumed form to do and fulfill all that was to be done or fulfilled. But on deeper thought, we find that he does nothing, for it is his delusionary powers that appears to do all and weave this illusionary web of action, reaction, result, and effect. The Supreme Soul, or Lord, is totally unconcerned with or attached from this illusionary image of a human. With this, we come to the end of the second and third canto. Om